I love passive income. Waking up every day with money in my bank account and not having to work from that. One of the best ways, as you know, is through investing in real estate. But you might think that you need a lot of money to invest in real estate. Well, one of the best ways to get into it, if you don't have a lot of money, is known as house hacking. And on this show, I have an expert to tell you how to do it. He's now generating passive income on a regular basis. My interview with Dr. Ayush Gupta on this episode of Bootstrap MD. Hey guys, this is Dr. Mike Wumang. Welcome to another edition of Bootstrap MD. Now, anytime we talk about real estate, it seems to be one of the most downloaded episodes that we have at Bootstrap MD. So I'm really excited that I have my next guest on. He's a pediatric emergency medicine physician in New Orleans, born and raised in India. He moved to the US in 2012, completed his residency and fellowship, and then he moved to New Orleans where he realized the importance of creating other income. And what started it was of COVID, which really caused a lot of people to kind of reevaluate, where they are in terms of building in their net income, building in their revenue. 1 year later, he created MD House Hacking, which is to help other medical professionals achieve financial freedom through house hacking. Now, if you don't know what that's about, we're going to cover all of that. So I'm so excited to have him on the program. Please welcome Dr. Ayush Gupta. Ayush, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Dr. Mike. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm super excited about it. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and I'm thrilled to be a part of yours.
Well, wonderful. Like I mentioned at the top, real estate is really a topic a lot of medical professionals want to know more about. And I always like to first start off by learning about your financial journey. For physicians, we historically have been known as bad investors. We don't get any type of financial education in medical school or perhaps, very, very topically, I'll hear something from an ER doctor who told me to invest in some type of stock or something like that. But other than that, we really don't get any education. So where did it start for you?
This is so true. When I talk about it on my portal, on my podcast as well, it's the same thing. Like as physicians, we get zero financial literacy. And I probably came from the similar background. My father was a doctor in India, is a doctor, but didn't really learn a lot about finances from there. Started from zero, actually, once I moved to New York for residency and then fellowship. Nobody really spoke about finances over there. I was heading towards a very similar life, which most of physicians and non-physicians, high-income earners do. They finish their studies, they go buy a house, and then they settle down, they have kids, and they have to pay the mortgage and car rent and everything. So it started with COVID. I mean, it's just started with everything was shut down. You can't really go and do a lot of stuff. Either you could take your mind and brain to watch Netflix and TikTok, or you could take it to learn about other streams of income. And that's how I think I got into it. Started with a couple of courses, find out my niche in that was real estate at that point. And as I said, I was just fresh out of fellowship, didn't have a lot of savings, didn't have a lot of money to go into real estate. And I think that was one of my limiting beliefs, that you need a lot of money. Now I know we can do deals without any money. So that's when house hacking started. I listened to some podcasts at that point who mentioned house hacking and read a lot about it. Thought it would be perfect for me to do that in New Orleans. And I think now I'm almost 2 years into it and I love it. And it has grown a lot from where it started.
So you said you started during COVID or at the beginning of COVID. At the time, were you renting? Did you have a house with a mortgage? Where were you at the time?
I was renting. I was renting a nice 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom place for $2,300 a month. And I was right before COVID, I was looking at houses as well, like a single family house, like I was telling you, to go live in. But yes, I was renting.
And that was in New Orleans?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you took a couple of courses, and I think I was listening to a podcast you did first, probably through Peter Kim is probably where
Yeah,
his Leverage and Growth Summit. Peter's a good guy, and then you took Kenji and Letty's course, I believe,
correct.
right?
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, they talk a lot about single family homes, and I don't think they talk a lot about house hacking. So first off, what is house hacking? How would you define that?
Yeah, great question. You're right. They don't talk a lot about house hacking. House hacking is basically living in a portion of a house and renting out other portions. There are various ways to do it. You can live in a 4 bedroom house, live in one room, and rent out the other rooms. Like example, in a residency, I was living in a 3 bedroom house, but we were renting out all 3 rooms. If you own that house, you can live in that room and rent out the other rooms to other medical students or residents or fellows or even guests, and that can pay for your mortgage. Currently, my house hacking situation is I live in a 4 unit apartment building, and I live in one of the apartments and the other 3 are rented out. What house hacking does, it provides you um, a great strategy to get in because it's your primary residence. So you really don't have to put that much money down as compared to investment property where you have to put 20 to 25% down. So you can get in for like a physician loan for 0% or a conventional loan for 5% or FHA for 3.5%. Very, very easy to get started into it. And then if you do it right and if you have all your numbers correct, you can either live for free or even get some extra for living, which is a great strategy.
Now, so I don't want to get too much into your personal life, but were you by yourself at the time when you're renting? Were you married, girlfriend, significant
Yeah.
other? What
So
were you at the time? Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was by myself. Still by myself. I live with my girlfriend right now, and I think how I love this question because I get this a lot from people who are a little far ahead with their families, and they're like, "Oh, I have kids. I have 2 kids. I have a wife. We have this expectation. We want a backyard." And I think those things can also be done with house hacking. A lot of people that I know, they do that. You can Airbnb a part of your property. You can do a midterm rental like travel nursing. You can also have a big space for yourself and a smaller unit for somebody else to offset some of your extra expenses for the month. So house hacking was a term which was given a few years ago, but it has been done for forever. People have been doing it forever.
So lots of different options, and again, I'm gonna take you into your initial thinking of doing this because I think it will inspire a lot of people who are listening this because they can see how you were in your shoes. So imagine at the time you were renting, were you month to month at the time, or did you have a long-term lease? Did you have to break the lease to
I
do?
will. I had a long term lease actually. I started looking at it in January of 2020, but my lease didn't end till like July. So I had a long
Okay.
term lease. Yep.
And so why did you decide to do that versus going in and doing like what the majority of do is get a single family home?
Oh, so many reasons. First, as I said, starting out, I was out of fellowship, didn't have a lot of savings, didn't have a lot of down payment. When you do what majority of the people do, just imagine, I'll give you a quick number example. If you buy a $500,000 house, you have to put 20% down if you're buying as an investment property. So that's $100,000 to come out of your pocket, excluding the closing cost, any kind of rehab renovations you have to do. The same thing for house hacking. If you're buying a $500,000 house, you can put in 5% down. You can put in 0% down. So 5% down is 25,000. That is $75,000 of leverage you can use from the bank. That's number one. Number two was that my first real estate venture. I wanted to be safer. House hacking is easily by far the safest way to get in to a real estate investing. You can get in. You have to live somewhere, right? I was paying 2,200 for rent, 2,300 for rent. The worst case scenario for me was even if I have out of the 3 units, 2 units rented out, I would still be paying less than that. I would still be creating equity in the property. So that was, I think it's extremely, extremely safe. That's number two. Number three is like how you can leverage the other things by living in the house. So for example, You can use a HELOC. Like I love using my HELOC for the house. Once you increase the value, you use your HELOC, you pull it out. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but it's very tough to do that in investment property. Your lenders are very, very tough in getting a HELOC. And that kind of jumpstarts you to other investment. Now, after my first house hacking, I was able to do a lot of other things. And that's because of the leverage that house hacking created for me.
As a doctor, I wasn't used to asking for help, especially when it came to subjects outside of medicine. But then I found physiciancoaches.com. In an instant, I found hundreds of experts to help me in all aspects of life. On areas I was afraid to ask: dealing with burnout, starting a side gig, money management, even help with my marriage. And the best part? Nearly all experts are physicians themselves. After reading their profile and a quick chat, I knew I found the right mentor for me. At physiciancoaches.com, help from professional colleagues is just a click away.
Yeah, that's what I love about real estate, and what a lot of people don't know. It's really the leverage. We get scared about debt, but it's when you have things like a HELOC, you already have that equity in your home, and then it just opens up, really to other different types of investments. So you're renting at the time, you're looking, you decide you want to go the house hacking route. Which way did you go? Did you go through a duplex, fourplex? What were you kind of thinking? Was this in New Orleans area?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I live in a very nice neighborhood, very close to where I used to live, very safe. It's a 4-unit apartment building. So it's a fourplex. And I probably live in the nicest of the 4, but all 4 are beautiful. I think my tenants know me. One of the things that I get a lot is like, what if I want to be like not known to my tenants? But I can tell you, as physicians, your tenants respect you a lot. They know you, they respect you, they don't call you out for anything. There are systems in place that I have, even though I live over here, in which I don't have to do anything. I mean, I'm an ER physician. I cannot come and change toilets in the middle of the night. And I would never want to get into real estate for that reason. So there are all these systems in place. And I think there was a long answer to your small question. But yeah, it's a fourplex in New Orleans in a very good neighborhood.
How long did it take you to find that perfect place?
I would say around 3 months. I looked at some of the properties, and but once like that's the advantage of house hacking as compared to buying a real estate investment out of state. The area really well. Like I knew my area after doing maths and looking around calculations and looking around the neighborhood. I knew if a property opens up in this neighborhood, it's going to do well, as compared to if I'm buying something in like Texas, where I don't know the neighborhood that well. And it's and I have to put in 20% down. So that's why I think this is another advantage of that.
So let's talk about funding. You said you didn't have a lot of money to invest in, and you mentioned things like a physician loans. Just so for the people in the audience, because physician loan gets thrown around, but in actual fact, there really is no such thing as a physician loan. But maybe you could help explain.
Yeah, it's a special kind of, it's like a portfolio loan. Like a lot of banks you go to, they will have multiple types of portfolio loans, like a VA loan, a physician loan. They might have a building, like you have to build something, you have a builder's loan. So a lot of portfolios loan. Physician loan is one of them. What it does is, as a physician, a lot of us have debt when we finish our residency or fellowship because of med school. Once you start using that debt to calculate your DTI, your debt to income ratio, a lot of banks are like, I don't think you're going to qualify to buy a $500,000 house because you have such big debt for med school going on. What physician loan does is it takes away, they don't calculate your med school debt. That's number one thing. Number two thing is, if you are paying less than 20% down on a house, you have to pay something called PMI. It's like a mortgage insurance. Physician loans also excludes that for you. And a lot of times you can't buy a big investment property with physician loan, but they do allow you to buy 2 to 4 unit apartment building using a physician loan. Obviously, you have to shop around, but I think that's a very, very good way to start. Like you were asking me how I did not have any funds. Yeah, that was perfect way for me to get into a pretty expensive property by putting low money down.
So you said you put around 5%. Was there other expenses you had to do in terms of rehab for your place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did put in 5% down. My vision for this property was to make it a $1 million property and cash out refi it. So I did do another 100K of renovations after putting in the 5%. I staged it, but I used a lot of private money for that. Again,
Okay.
that was again leverage that I used because I knew that this property had value in it. So if I use that, I can pay them off back.
So like hard money?
No, private money. Actually, I connected with some friends. The difference between private and hard money is like private money doesn't check on your credit at all. It is based on one legal document, a promissory note. Hard money is more like longer term, has more points up front than private money.
And again, we can always edit this later. What type of loan were you getting in terms of, was it a 30-year fixed? Was it an ARM? What did the physician loan offer?
Yeah, for my So I ended up going for an FHA loan, which was very similar to a physician loan. But it was because there's limits to an FHA loan. So for example, for four units in New York, you can get an FHA loan for probably like 800, 900,000, but in New Orleans, you can't. I think the limit was 650. My property was over that price. So I had to put in, I got a 30-year fixed mortgage using an FHA loan. Instead of 3.5, I had to put 5% down.
Okay, gotcha. Another thing too is because there's, just so for clarification, anytime somebody thinks of multifamily, they think more often it's a commercial loan, but in this case, it's not, right? Because you don't have as many doors. Is that correct?
Correct. So, there's like big multifamily and they're like smaller multifamily. Smaller is like up to 4 units. More than 4 units is when starts getting a little more on the commercial side. And then you have to go through the value of the income, your net operating income, the cap rate, rather than over here when you look at the comps around the neighborhood.
Okay. So you qualified, you got the house. Now it's time to look for roommates. So tell me that process. When I hear house hacking, the first thing is I hear them saying, I want to live rent free. So that's what I'm going to charge. What was your thinking in terms of pricing? And then how did you find the tenants?
Yeah, good question. So I had to change all the tenants in the house to get the rents up because when I got the property, the rents were way lower than what the market rents was. My formula for finding the rents was looking at the comps around the neighborhood. So they're like places around for 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, very close to where I live, which was available for rent. I would just go and check them. And while I was doing rehab, I was like, oh, my property is going to be way more well done than their property. So that would help. The second thing obviously was Rentometer. I use Rentometer a lot for calculating rents. And then I have a pro version of it in which you can actually narrow down the miles, the amount of months out and look at all those things and actually click on those photos. That was very helpful. So those 2 things I use for rent calculation. In terms of tenants, I use Hemlane right now for property management. No plug to anybody, but this is the things that I use. So what you can do, I think as a lot of physicians, they're like, I don't know how I'm going to be to the tenants. I don't want them to know that I'm there. I don't have time to show. I had the same belief. Honestly, I was very skeptical about walking in and showing units. And the first time I showed a unit to somebody, I was like, I don't know about this. But I can tell you as physicians, first of all, once you tell somebody who's coming to see your property that you are the owner, their perspective changes completely. They are like, oh, wow, I don't have just any random realtor showing me. This is an owner who actually believes in his property. Second thing is, once you tell them you live next door, they know that they can't do a lot of things that they would do when there's an absentee owner. So that was very helpful. I put it on a lot of portals online. And for each unit, I had 50 to 70 applications to apply for the housing and to live over there. At one time, I had to just be no, I cannot. The first person gets it. That's it. And all my tenants are great. I love them. They know me personally. If they want, they can text me, but they generally go through the property management if they need anything. I think it was a great process. As physicians, we have this leverage, this persona outside that these guys are going to be honest. They're not going to be just like any other landlord. So I think that is where house hacking is so powerful for any physician who wants to try to do it.
And so your property management is taking care of all the, the toilets and all the things that can creep up.
Yes, sir. So they do all the documents over there. Any tenant communication is through that. Any kind of management stuff is through that. I do have 2 VAs, a virtual assistant, who help me through a lot of like social media, help me through real estate, and so I think the system, once you create systems, I think it becomes very powerful and you can leverage it a lot.
Yeah, just like as in any business, the key to success is having the system. So, and that just like as we do in medicine, you're in ER medicine, we have a checklist to follow. As long as we kind of follow that checklist, for most of the time, we're going to be successful. So you're living, can we say you're living rent free?
100%. Yeah, I do live rent free. I actually make a good amount. I make around $1,500 on top of it a month.
Wow.
Apart from living rent free, which I use for other purposes, and actually saving for buying the next property. So there's always like deals coming in and having to do the next one with that. So
I can tell you there are some people who have a single family home that would love to get $1,500 a month on their return.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 years ago, I was paying $2,300 for rent. And even before that, in residency, I was paying $1,300 in rent, fellowship, the same amount of money. I think going back to one of your first questions about like teaching and we don't get education about it, I wish real badly that somebody taught me this when I was in residency or fellowship or even in med school, that, hey, this is a strategy. This is something that works very easily. It's easy to get into. You really don't have to imagine as a resident, you save $1,000. That would mean the world to you. So that's what I think I'm like very passionate about. Like nobody taught me this, and I can like help people through this.
So it sounds like that's why you started MD House Hacking. So tell me about the site you created and what's the mission?
Yeah, the mission actually is to help medical professionals, whether it's students, residents, fellows, physicians, nurses, techs, anybody who want to get into real estate in a safe way, do not have a lot of money, do not have a lot of time, and want to get into real estate. There is a lot of competitive markets out there. There's a lot of people who are trying to buy this properties using 20% down, but there are people who don't have that much money. There are people who are very scared of getting into real estate. So I kind of help people walk through all those limiting beliefs, help look at their properties, help them go through the numbers for house hacking as compared to just buying a short-term rental or a long-term rental, and show them the power of it. I mean, even if a lot of people don't take into account that while I'm not paying $2,000 a month, that adds up. That is like $24,000 a year saved into doing other activities that you actually can enjoy or the other investments. So that's my mission. That's my goal, to like help people create awareness about this, have younger professionals start on it earlier than later.
Perfect. So you mentioned, you got this additional income. It doesn't sound like you're going to rest on your laurels. You said you're investing in other projects. Is that more real estate? What's next for you?
Yeah. So I have I have another 4 unit that I have, and then I have a short-term rental. So I do have these 2 properties. I'm part of this the group, and I think I'll plug it, Go Abundance, and I think that has changed my mindset a lot.
I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a group. We have some physicians over there from around the country too, but it basically talks about like overall 6 things. It's like health, authentic relationship, horizontal income, accountability, and it talks about contribution and adventure. So basically, when I make my goals for the year, I think about all these things, 6 things that I want to get better at. So when I talk about investment these days, I might not have that much properties. I think I've good right now, but I also put investment in this other aspect of my life which I didn't do before. That has helped a lot. Like fitness is great. I mean, I love fitness, health. I think that's where I wish I can like talk to more people about it, that creating passive income is great and everybody should do more and have more than one source of income. But you need to do a lot of other things as well to get into.
And I know you're an attending physician. So is that some things that you tell to the residents?
Oh, all the time. I mean, it's even to fellow attendings too. Like, I think what has happened now, like 2 years into it, I just had a dinner with two of them yesterday, and a lot of them they've seen what's going on. They've seen that how I'm creating other sources of income, and they want to come partner now. They want to come talk to me. They want to just hear a lot about it. And I think that's the awareness. When I was starting out, nobody over here was investing into real estate. Nobody was doing, apart from like your usual, having a financial advisor come in, having a portfolio, which is like everybody does it. Now people are seeing the advantage or the benefits of doing other kind of investments. So yeah, educating as many people as I can.
I love it. The website is mdhousehacking.com. We'll also have a link in the show notes. Ayush, thank you for sharing more about your journey. It was really great having you, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. You're doing a great job interviewing everybody. I love your podcast, and I'm so glad that you invited me. And I'm looking forward to hearing more episodes of your podcast. Thanks
well, thank you, and thank you for joining us on this journey about educating our fellow colleagues in not only talking about passive income, but all those 6 areas that can really make a big difference in your life. So thank you for everybody for listening. And as always, keep moving forward.